This is a short video. It's an introduction to EFT, Meridian tapping or Acu-Tapping, but it's also to address a couple of core questions that people have about tapping and to introduce using it for a global issue like depression and how we can use it to begin the process of our healing. So one question that people ask is, why do we focus on negative statements? What is it, how can that be helpful? Why do we do that? So I want you to imagine that your human energy system and your flow of energy is like a river, and we can flood it with lots and lots of effort and lots of energy, with positive energy that might eventually flush through. And when we have things stuck in the river like paper bags and rubbish, we also can have really big things like shopping trolleys. We can try to push them through, but really the negative statement is a bit like a coordinate for where the things that are stuck are. So it's a bit like saying, okay, so I know that we have this shopping trolley stuck in the river, and rather than try to put in all that extra effort of flushing it through, what we're really doing is we're just acknowledging we have that stuck thing, and we're going right to it. And eventually that is how we really use Acu-Tapping and acupressure tapping, is really to focus on where the energy is stuck so that we can actually begin to shift it. And then maybe a balance of bringing in lots of positive stuff's helpful too. But really, while that thing is stuck, then the best way to deal with it is to actually acknowledge it and bring our attention to it. Use that negative statement, that story in your head, that thing that you keep thinking about, the stuck picture, the stuck voice, the things that you're holding on to and that are not processed, that are not healing. We use those as the coordinates to know exactly what to target, to process. Okay, so we're not installing a negative thought or belief. We're not going to make you more negative. The tapping helps you to address what is stuck and begin to shift it, and it helps to broaden your perspective on it. So if you're tapping on my friend hates me, as you tap and say that statement, it doesn't make you believe your friend hates you. It takes a belief you already got, and it helps you start to shift the energy around it so that actually your subconscious mind starts to be able to say, but is that really true? And the things that you've deleted, the things that you've distorted and not paid attention to because you were thinking that, because of something that happened, then you start to gain the ability to see other stuff you were editing out before. So in our depression has a very specific recovery and safety mechanism. It is designed to help us to retreat, to help us to regroup, step back and heal. It helps us to find a space to find resources we didn't have at the time. Now the problem is that they can build up, and sometimes we don't get the chance to find those resources. So what we can do with EFT and with Meridian tapping is we can start to create some space for us to be able to address those parts of us that didn't have the resources at the time. We can evolve those events, we can evolve the energy, and we can start to heal them. But depression shouldn't be pushed away, it shouldn't be fixed. Okay, we're not doing that because it has its purpose. What we need to do is we need to resource the parts of us that require that space at the moment. So we may be in a position where we don't want to be depressed and we don't like feeling like this, and we don't want to be in this state anymore, but at the same time we might also not be ready to do whatever it takes or what is next. So that's a really good indication that you're in this place where you're maybe ready to start healing, but actually you need to do that in a way that is best for you. Not just fix it, push it away, get over it and get out there, because there's reasons why. You need to find some of those resources, you need to heal some of those parts, and it's time to really address them, but in a way that is safe and in a way that does it so that you can feel that you are getting those resources, updating that old information and learning the new things you need to learn. Okay, getting all of that together for you to feel that you can take those next steps. So it's just one step at a time. So that's why we address the negative statements, comments, thoughts, pictures, images. Now what we do when we do that, we are actually connecting and associating. So it's really important, especially if somebody has PTSD, to recognize that we're not going back into the event. We're not trying to bring that back in at the moment. Beginning with global tapping and generalized tapping is really to just address where we are right now in the big picture. So if there's a potential for you to re-trigger something, we need to go through the practice of putting down whatever happened without going into it, recognizing it's there, putting it there, and then coming back to being present. So the first thing I'm going to do with you is being present. We're not going back into an event. We're not going through the healing of a specific event right now. We're not addressing the part that comes up about something that's happened. We're just going to recognize that we are here and we are acknowledging the willingness and the growing readiness to be able to take those healing steps. And the first step is to not try to force yourself and to not worry what anyone else thinks, whatever the consequences of you healing this are. And consequences may be that there are expectations and things that you're not ready for. So that's okay. Let's make it an agreement now, and you can acknowledge for yourself that this is for you. This is not to force you into a position where you have to do things you're not ready to do. This is your internal process of acknowledging your readiness to start to heal and to start to pay attention to those things that are holding this depression or this pattern of behavior in place. Okay? So that's the first question. Why do we tap on the negative? The negative is your information to get to why you're here. Those coordinates will ultimately help you to process and heal. We're naturally designed to process and heal, but if we haven't had the opportunity or the resources, then we can be stuck with our freeze responses. So we're going to practice being present, not going back into those freeze responses until it's ready for that part of us to come up, and we can be strong enough in our presence to help that part. Because it's no good you associating and becoming that part if you don't have the resources that you need right now. So EFT is a technique where we associate with the feeling and the thought that comes up. That's why it's important to do it gently and steadily. There are other ways in which we can use that in order for you to stay more disassociated and more distant from that event without reliving it. But of course, at the same time, if something comes in, a feeling or a thought or a picture or a memory, then also we can use the tapping to process that. So if in doubt, just continue to tap, but also I'm going to teach you the breathing, and the breathing will help your physiology. Your heart will tell your body and your brain, you're here now, listening to this, watching this, breathing in the present moment. So it's also important that you recognize, even if you have a feeling of unsafety, that we differentiate between that feeling of unsafety is an experience that you're connecting to, but the room that you're in, the place that you're at now, needs to be safe. Okay? So otherwise you just need to do something to act to become safe. We have these mechanisms for a reason, but what I want you to learn to do is to recognize, do I need to really do something? Is this a threat, or is this just a feeling and association to events that now are coming up for healing? So depression is a retreat, a step back, a regroup. Our hormone balance changes in the brain to allow us to retreat, to go internal, to not be out there in a position that may be potentially dangerous, and we create that time for ourselves so that we can heal. So let's do some healing, and let's begin the process of you starting to feel more aware. I won't say in control, but certainly more in control of yourself and more aware of what's going on. Okay? So that's the first question, is about the negative stuff. Another big question that comes up is about global issues. So it's true that to heal a specific event or specific symptom, we need to be specific. We need to get right into the shopping trolley, the specific shopping trolley that's causing the specific response and the specific symptom. And that's how we work. We heal that. We work on that thing. And the bio insight that I do helps us know exactly which one to go to. However, we can tap globally on a global feeling and a global issue. Now, ultimately, if we try to heal, the past events and past stuff that need healing globally, we could go around the houses for a long time. But what we do need to do is start somewhere, and the only place to start is where you are right now. And if where you are right now is stuck in that shit, then that's where you start. And we don't start by getting into something, we start by just acknowledging that. So global tapping is a really good way of addressing where you're at right now, of acknowledging that there are stuff, in the past that are still hurting, and that you might not want to be where you are, you might not be ready to go anywhere else either, and it all might feel too much, overwhelming, like shit, whatever it is that is coming up for you. That's all we're going to tap on. What that will do is it will start you to process and shift some of that energy and release, and it will start to allow what it is that's underneath to come up when it's safe. So if something comes up too soon, we just acknowledge it, put it back down, and come back to the global tapping. But I want you to use a global tapping at least 5 or 10 minutes every day, and notice how you felt from 1 to 10 before and how you felt 1 to 10 after. Just tap on the shit. Just acknowledge it is shit right now. Okay, that's it. So the meridian tapping releases and processes the energy, starts to get that moving in your system, and we're really just going to allow ourselves to process some of that on a global level. So the points that we use are the 12 main meridian points plus the 2 kind of central meridian lines, and we tap on the places where they either come mostly to the surface or at the ends of the meridians. So I'm just going to talk you through, then I'm going to do the ABC of heart conscious breathing with you and combine that with feeling present, which is what you do at any time you feel that things are out of control or going somewhere you don't want to go. And I'm going to encourage you not to go anywhere else right now. And then we're just going to tap through a general feeling of how difficult it is right now. Okay, and whatever I say may work for you, may not. If it's not relevant, you may as well say it anyway. It's not going to install it, but it's going to dig out or just shift some energy on anything that might be related to that. Use your own words, use your own self-talk, your own stuff that comes up. Do this 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes. When I shifted myself from being, I wasn't suicidal, but I didn't want to live. But when I was in my deepest depression, clinical depression, with physical symptoms, chronic fatigue, bad back, headaches, alcohol abuse, all the stuff I was trying to do to manage it, for 3 months I tapped pretty much almost all the time, effectively, because stuff was coming up all the time. And I tapped through tears and snot and just kept tapping. And I didn't notice until sometime later that it wasn't coming up as much. When it did, it wasn't as difficult. I started to feel more in control, more lighter, more aware. And then it started to be more, I was more ready to target some of the specific things that were going on. So it is possible to change it and evolve it, but let's start where you're at right now. So the meridian points are the crown point on the top of the head by waypoint, 100 meeting point. And then as we come down, purely for ease and simplicity, the inside point of the eyebrow, okay? So it's not there, which is where the meridian ends actually, it's actually here. So just on the eyebrow point. And then the next one is the outer eyebrow, okay? So bladder, gallbladder. It's not down by the side of the eye, it's really on the end of that bone there. So inside of that bone, outside of that bone. Stomach is under the eye. You can cross, do it one-handed, do it two if you want. they're mirrored, so it doesn't matter. It's actually good for us to cross our body. Okay, so under the, the nose, cleft of the chin, then the collarbone is actually, if you use that cleft there and come out along the clavicle, you'll notice sort of 2/3 of the way along there's like a dimple, and that's the kidney point. Keep K27. Now, a bit tender for most Westerners. It's not to be confused with this soft spot in here, which is a lymphatic drainage point, which we can also massage if we are feeling emotions come up and we need to process. But that's a lymphatic drainage. It does also shift your energy system. But K27 is below the collarbone. We then have the liver point, which is in the ribs, in line with the nipples, assuming your nipples are in the general place. And we have spleen point is actually in the side, under the arm, and for a lady, usually in line with the bra strap, or again for a guy, in line with the nipples. Okay, now we have 6 main meridians in the fingers. The easiest way to do that, we can tap them all together at once, or the one we're going to start with is this triple warmer point here, okay, in that kind of V shape here between the little finger and the ring finger. There is the karate chop, famous one, okay, and then if you put your hand this way, although this one is slightly different, we're not going to worry about all of the old-fashioned tapping on the other side. We're just going to start at the top of the thumb, top of the finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, karate chop. So that's all the points. Now we're going to start with the ABC of heart conscious breathing to be present. A, attention to the heart. B, breathe into the heart. And C, connect to a feeling of presence. And we're going to use a basic way of doing that, which is to use our senses to engage with what's going on around us. So I don't want you to, oh, call coming in. I don't want you to go off anywhere else. Keep your eyes open, preferably so that you are present. A, attention to the heart area. B, breathe into the heart and out of the heart. And next time you watch this, you can cut to this bit, of course. So A, attention to the heart area. B, breathe into the heart area and out of the heart. And you can count or just say, I'm breathing into my heart. I'm breathing out of my heart. I'm breathing into my heart. I'm breathing out of my heart. I'm breathing into my heart. I'm breathing out of my heart. Just notice what happens. If your mind wanders, anything comes up, put it down. Come back to attention to the heart. I'm breathing into my heart. I'm breathing out of my heart. Keep going. I'm breathing into my heart. I'm breathing out of my heart. Any physical sensations, thoughts, feelings, emotions, it takes a moment to let it reset and regulate. I'm breathing into my heart. I'm breathing out of my heart. I'm breathing into my heart. I'm breathing out of my heart. Now C, keep breathing. C is to connect to feeling present. So first thing we do, look around, say out loud 3 things that you see. I see the thermostat for the heating. I see my glasses, and I see a pen, a black soft tip pen. Breathing into the heart and out. Notice what you hear. My voice, I hear my computer, and I hear a noise on the boat. Breathing into the heart, breathing out. Sensations, I feel my feet on the floor, my bottom on the chair. I feel my hand on my heart. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in breathing out, breathing into the heart and breathing out of the heart. So A is attention to the heart area, B to breathe in and out of the heart area, and C to connect to being present. Now we're going to start tapping on this point that's in that little V cleft there. It's often called a gamut point because we do a number of things, a range, a gamut of additional things. But this is the triple warmer, and it's going to help us regulate our internal systems. Breathing into the heart, breathing out gently, slowly, tapping, tap, 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 tap. That's enough. Still breathing into the heart, still breathing out. Still breathing into the heart, still breathing out. So we're not going to rush off into anything, we're not pushing away anything. But you're here doing this right now. And as you're doing that, we're going to just address the global issue of where you're at. Because you start with, I'm depressed. All this depression. It's all too much. I can't do it. I don't know where to start. Nobody understands. Whatever is the thought that comes to you, that's a great place to start. Without judgment, no right or wrong, that's just where it is. Let that thought come up for you. So I'm going to invite you, as you breathe into the heart and out of the heart, tapping on the gamut point. And we know we've got these parts that may start coming forward for healing, but we're just going to acknowledge when it's time, we're going to address that. But for now, global tapping on the overall black cloud, the overall issue. All this depression. And you can describe it. It's heavy, black, dark, tiring depression. And those are my words. Pick your own or go with them if they work. But we're tapping and we're here. And you may be getting ready when it's time. But we're not going to rush. We're just acknowledging. So starting on the top of the head now. This feeling. Just ask yourself, what is it? Is it a heavy depression? Helpless, hopeless, tired? It's all too much. Can't do anything. I'm stuck. I don't have the energy to do this. I can't change this. It's never going to change. It's never going to be different. I can't do it on my own, but I am on my own. This always happens to me. All these things that have happened are always going to happen. Can't change them, can't fix them. I'm broken. Any of those thoughts, you can just say them. Acknowledge them. They're there. If they're not there, don't worry about it. Inside eyebrow. Saying whatever is the strongest one of those for you. This depression, this heavy, dark, black feeling, this cloud, this energy. I don't have any energy. This doesn't work. I can't do it. It's too much. Tapping on the inner eyebrow. Outer eyebrow. It's just too much. I can't do it. It's too overwhelming. I don't know where to start. Any of these. You can't make a script because it's individual to you. But Just take from it what you need and bring in your own thoughts. Remembering you're here right now, doing this with me, breathing into the heart, breathing out. I don't have what it takes, can't do it. It's just too much. Just rather go back to bed. Or I want to cry. And if you want to cry, cry. Let it out. Release that cortisol. Let it flow. It's all too much. I can't do it. It's never going to change. I can't do it. It's never going to change. In the cleft of the chin, it's too much. In the collarbone, I can't do it. Or whatever you need to say. This deep depression, this sadness, this loss, this fear, this anger, whatever is coming up, I can't do anything about it. I can't change those people, those events, those things. I can't change that it happened. I can't change what's happening right now. Just say it and tap. Don't forget to tap. This feeling in my body that's coming up, this uncomfortableness, this resistance, this indigestion, this butterflies, this headache, this whatever comes up, just say it. If it has a colour, acknowledge the colour, and just tap. Now we're going into the ribs. All this feeling and emotion, all this overwhelming energy and my utter helplessness, hopelessness, fear, confusion. That's okay. Under the arm, and you can use both hands if you want to now. Ribs and under the arm. I'm going to keep my hand on my chest because I like to be anchored there, but you can just tap with both hands if you need. And if you've got anger or upset, you can do, both. Okay, however you need. But we're just bringing it down, recognizing that it's there, starting with addressing the cloud of depression. Now, cloud's my description, my metaphor. Yours might not be a cloud. So what is it? What is it? Describe it. Tap on it. Back to the hand, and now I'm going to bring it out. We've got this, all this feeling that I have right now. Overwhelming sense of just being stuck. Top of the thumb, this stuck feeling. Don't forget, breathing into the heart and out of the heart. Breathing into the heart and out of the heart. Taking your time with the points. Let that emotion come out and flow. Let the floodgate open, but just know that you can breathe into it and come back at any time. Let a bit of it out. In and out. Middle finger. Breathing into the heart and breathing out of the heart. Being present. If you feel yourself going somewhere, find those three things in your room. Keep tapping. These are messages. That's one of the things you can hear, right? Is the messages coming in on my computer. And ring finger, breathing in, breathing out. Acknowledging that for all that helplessness and hopelessness, you are here. You are doing this. And letting some of that energy flow. That energy that's been stuck, can you find some of that energy? Can you invite it to go wherever it wants to go? Just invite it to move a bit. Come out. Where does it want to go? And this karate chop point, just let some of that energy flow out. Any of that stuck color, stuck cloud, stuck feeling. Breathing into the heart. Breathing out of the heart. Coming back to the heart. Tapping on this point again. Just coming back to being present, noticing how your body feels. Is it feeling different? Notice what keeps you present, the things you see, the sounds you hear. Your feet on the floor, your bottom or back in the chair, your hand on your heart. This video, my voice. Notice what you see. Notice that you're here. When you're ready, you can go again. And you can use this video, just this bit of tapping through the points, until you get used to tapping for yourself. So all I'm encouraging you to do right now is to know how to breathe and be present, and then allow yourself to globally tap on where you're at right now. The whole thing. I can promise that if you do this regularly, it will start to help some of that energy move, and it will start to make it safer and more okay for you to start going into the next stage of addressing some of the parts of you that need your attention. Most important to breathe into the heart and out, so we can focus on the negative thoughts that come up, because they're the coordinates to the stuck energy. As we say those negative things, now you can reflect on the things that you've been saying. How true, out of 100, how true are those things? And you might notice that the things that felt 100% true at the beginning, I can't do this, it's not possible, after a few rounds of even global tapping, may not necessarily be 100%. They may have shifted a bit. Maybe it's true. Maybe something's possible. You don't have to know the answer yet. Just globally tapping on the general issue to give yourself a bit of breathing space, a bit of kindness to the parts that need attention. Okay? So that's just the first step. I want you to do that every day, at least once a day, as often as you can do that. And if you are at home on your own and you are stuck, then just do it as much as possible. Do it when something comes up. You can even put on a piece of music and do it to music. Look at a picture, do it that. That will bring in a trigger of some energy. If that's too much for you right now, don't do it. Put it straight back down and then come back to the global breathing and the global tapping. Okay, making sure you're present. But as you move ahead, you'll notice what those triggers are. You'll notice if it's something on telly. You'll notice if it's something that you're doing or you're hearing, or there is a trigger. You can start to notice your triggers. Next thing we'll do is we'll understand the triggers, understand the symptoms, understand which parts and which events, and then we'll work on healing those. Okay, but not until you've done some global tapping, and certainly some breathing. If in doubt, just breathe. ABC, attention to the heart, breathe into the heart, and connect to feeling present. Keep going until you notice your breathing has regulated your fight, flight and freeze, regulated your autonomic nervous response to knowing that you're here right now, and then tap. Okay? We'll move on to what to do next in the next video.